The broadcast is now starting. All attendees are in listen-only mode.
Hello and welcome. I'm Amy Allen with Unanet, and today we are going to talk about project billing and revenue recognition. Before we get started, I'm going to go through a quick PowerPoint that describes the Unanet process. So Unanet is one single source of truth, one software for projects, people, and financials. It allows you to plan for your resources into the future, enter purchase orders for your subcontractors and other items, execute, record actuals against those plans, so real timesheets, real expense vouchers, real vendor invoices against your purchase order. It allows you to monitor in real time the data that you've put into your system so you can see how you're performing against your plans. You can track utilization, burn rate, earned value. You can see how much backlog you have on various contracts and projects. It also allows for back-end financial information reporting, such as billing. So once you have planned, recorded actuals against your plan, looked at all your KPIs, you can actually recognize revenue and bill in Unanet. And then, of course, it has a full back-end accounting system. So you can, full general ledger, indirect rate reporting. We also offer a two-way match to the purchase order. Here's what Unanet clients say. So as I mentioned earlier, it is a single source of truth. So it allows you to see productivity and hold people accountable for their own utilization and numbers. It allows you to view reports in real time. So many systems, you have to wait till after the end of the month to see your accounting reports. In Unanet, you can see how people are performing real time from the minute they save their time or their expense onto their timesheet or expense voucher. It's intuitive, easy to use. We have a very user-friendly dashboard. Your end users with very little training should be able to utilize the system. It's web-based, so as long as you have access to the internet, you can access Unanet anywhere, anytime. It's secure. It sits on an AWS Amazon Workspace platform that is FedRAMP moderate. It's efficient, so most people claim they can lower their G&A. And our CEO likes to say the best way to see the future is not by looking in the rearview mirror, but to invent it. These are a few of our customers by size. So you can see that Unanet is definitely scalable. We have customers as small as 5 users, and we have customers as big as 20,000 users. Unanet is the leader in project-driven ERP, and just to show you kind of our trajectory over the years, we've had over 20 years of product usage. We started in 1988 as a computer strategies company. In 1998, we rebranded into Unanet with the first electronic timesheet. We're the highest rated on the ERP on the G2 crowd. We are rated one of the top places to work in Glassdoor, and we have a national network of partners that can help you implement. One thing that's very attractive, especially to government contractors, is that we are 100% developed and supported in the USA. When you call into Unanet support, you're not getting someone in another country, you're getting someone right here in either our Dulles office or our Colorado office. And of course, we've made the Inc. 5000 the last 3 years in a row. So this is a nice slide just to give you some quotes from a few of our customers, just telling you about how they were able to reduce their G&A using Unanet for accounting. So you can see that, from the time of implementation here, they were able to increase revenue per dollar of accounting salary spent. And you can see all the nice quotes from a lot of different CFOs over here. So really nice. This is our Net Promoter Score. So Unanet outperforms many other ERP solutions, and our Net Promoter Score is a 47 this year. This was done by an outsourced firm, so it wasn't us querying our own customers, but someone else querying our customers for us. Just to give you kind of a guideline, an average Net Promoter Score that's reasonable is 0. So, but some of the others that you can see down here score around 13, Unanet scores 47. That is our customer satisfaction. We asked our customers, would you recommend Unanet to someone else? 47% give us a 47% based on promoters and detractors is a very reasonable score to say that yes, they would. We like to say we create a world-class experience. Our customers are our jewels, and we shine them every day. Unanet has a professional services department that will work with you for your initial implementation. If you're coming from another software package, we will convert the data for you. We have pre-built convert tools that will bring your trial balances as well as your project history, time and expense details, other direct costs over from many different packages, SL, Microsoft Dynamics, Deltek, QuickBooks, Procast, there are others. We're constantly developing new convert tools. We also integrate with third-party payroll systems. We have what we call Payroll Connect. Unanet does not do payroll. We don't have a payroll functionality within the system, but we do integrate, and we will host for you a full integration with your payroll service. We have a cloud data warehouse. You can access the tables at the back end. So if you have people that are report writers that love to report on data within the system, you can't find a report that you really love. I hope that you could find a report based on our built-in reports and our ad hoc report writer, but if you couldn't, you have access to a back-end cloud data warehouse, and of course we have a partner program. We have an amazing customer success team where you will have a representative for the life of the time you own the product that you can call for anything, questions on your renewal, I don't know who to talk to about something I need, I need to take a Unanet University class, all of that. So that is available to our customer success group. Here, Unanet University does our training. We have a quick start program. We have a pre-configured database for those of you that like to jump right in and just get started, or, if you prefer custom configuration, we do that as well. We have an amazing support team. As I said, our support is 100% based in the US. You can call them anytime. They do version installations, upgrades. Again, we have an education system. So we have a complete university with a learning management system that you can log in and take classes. We have many free classes. We also have classes that you can pay for, and you can even come to our headquarters and take a live class if you prefer. We also have a LinkedIn users group. We send out a monthly newsletter. We're having a champions conference this year. It'll be on April 30th and May 1st in Tysons Corner, Virginia. So we would love for all of our customers to meet up there and share their ideas and see what other customers have to say about Unanet. That's the end of the slideshow. We're going to jump right into billing now. So Unanet is a role-based system. Based on your role within the environment, you're going to have access to different dashboards, different reports, different charts and graphs. So I'm logged in here as an administrator of the system. And on my different dashboards, you can see that I have different charts on this dashboard. Then these are my dashboards up here. Then on my project dashboard, I have it open over here. And on my billing, my admin dashboard. So you can, based on your role within the environment, you can configure different reports and charts and graphs, and then you can save them out on any dashboard that you like. So it's really user-friendly. Administrators also have the ability to save what we call shared reports. So based on the role of the person you're sharing with, they can have different reports over here. These are my financial reports, for example. So I started them with an FIN, and this will ensure that your users are all looking at the same data in reports when they run one of these saved shared reports. Okay, without further ado, I'm going to get into the billing. So the first thing I like to do in Unanet when I'm billing is keep open this billing and revenue summary report. This report is really a nice way for you to see everything that's going on within your Unanet environment with respect to billing and revenue recognition, all on the same screen. So what I'm able to see here is everything that I've ever billed on these contracts. These are my customers right here, customer 1, customer 2. These are the projects within those customers. I can see their billing type, if they're cost plus, if they're time and materials, if they're fixed price. I can see whether they're open or closed, the funded value, everything I've ever billed, everything I've ever recognized. I also can see if I have any deferred or unbilled. So these numbers, what's really nice, are drillable first off. So if I wanted to drill in here and say, what's every invoice I've ever billed on this T&M contract, when I drill in, I can see the invoice number, I can see the number of hours, I can see the date, who worked it. So it's a really nice way if your auditor comes in and wants to see this kind of detailed information for you to come right out here and drill in. But also the deferred and the unbilled will tie to your balance sheet. So why would you have unbilled or deferred? For example, I was in this cost plus example here, I'm recognizing my revenue at a different rate than I'm billing. So that causes some deferred revenue. In this fixed price, I might be recognizing my revenue on a % complete, whereas I'm billing on a billing schedule. So, and T&M, you really would not have deferred. You'd have some unbilled, which I'll show you in just a minute when we do our billing, where maybe I got to the end of the period and I realize that I have a few people working on this contract and I can't bill for their labor this month, but I need to get my invoice out, I can defer that to next month. We'll go into detail on that. So all of this is completely drillable. So next thing I'm going to show you is just the setup of the projects that we're going to bill. So if I come out here to the project list, this is a list of all the different projects that I have in Unanet, and I'm going to show you them with the billing lead identified. So here what I can see is that each one of these projects has a unique billing type that you saw in the billing and revenue summary. I can bill each one of these individual, or as in this case, you see I'm rolling up 3 projects onto one invoice here. Within each one of these projects, you set up a billing profile. So, and before I go in there, I just want to point out a few things here. There's the billing type, so cost plus T&M fixed price, and I could bill them individually, or I could roll up 3 different billing types onto one invoice if I wanted to. Whether they're billable or not billable, that's fine. But the other thing I want to point out is this project owning org. So this is the revenue organization for this project. So when you run your financial statements, and we're not going to get into that on this class, on this particular webinar today, but we have plenty of other webinars and knowledge center topics on this, you can actually report your revenue based on owning organization. So we track both revenue and costs at the organizational level so that you can run an income statement as a whole or by org, just to give you some information about that. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to click into this content production project, and you'll see that every project in Unanet has a billing icon here where you set up the unique elements with respect to this project. So in this example, let me just come back out here for a second. In this example, it's a time and material project. So what that means is that for this particular project, when I set up the billing, I'm going to set up users with a bill rate. I'm going to assign users with a bill rate to this project, and that's how I'm going to generate revenue, and that's how I'm going to bill. In this example, this is a lead project. So I'm saying I want to build this one as the lead, whatever I set up on here, and I have some contributors. If I want to add additional contributors, I can just come down here and add another project within customer one. So let's get crazy here on this call today. It's a webinar. Let's bill a cost plus some fixed price and some T&M all together. So I'll go ahead and save that because I'm going to generate one big invoice for that. We also allow you to have custom invoice formats. So here in Unanet, this is my standard invoice format, but I can create as many different additional formats as I like. And when I generate one receivable, one AR, I can have it generate as many different formats as I want. So I'm just going to derail just for a second about the invoice formats and take you over here just to see what the invoice formats look like. So under the admin setup screen, this is where you would configure the invoice format. And here, you'll see that I've got 9 different invoice formats. So again, you could have 9 for one customer, 8 for another, just one, whatever it is you like. And within each invoice format, I can decide what shows and hides, number one. So I can, I want to show inception to date. I want to show project code. I can also get a glimpse at what I'm doing over here on the right as I configure things to the left, on the left. So for example, if I say show inception to date, I hit this refresh preview, you're going to see a new column appear over here that shows me the inception to date. So our president likes to call this the WYSIWYG. What you see is what you get. Very nice. You also can reorder things. So if I don't like the T&M on top, I can move it to the bottom. I can move things around if I want to. I can relabel them. So I'll go ahead and save that so that now, you'll see immediately what's going to happen. Now the expense is on top and then the labor is beneath it. I can also relabel. So for example, I don't like the name of that to be T&M labor because I'm doing this on cost plus, fixed price, and T&M. So I'm just going to call it labor. And you'll see over here where it says T&M labor, when I hit the save button, now it actually updates it. Instead of saying T&M labor, it says just labor. So you can change the names. You can show everything down to the timesheet comment. So if I want to show the comments that are listed on the timesheet, I can actually, I'm just going to show you what it looks like here. When I hit the refresh preview, you can actually see right here for each day and each cell that people enter, it can show the comments. So what do you gain from this? What this allows you to do is have multiple invoice formats on one project here, where I've got a summary level format that maybe goes to the contracting officer or maybe to my internal team and to the accounting department at my client, but I've got a really detailed one that's maybe backup to that I keep internally and my project manager uses. Or maybe that's the one the contracting officer wants. So just the ability to have those different invoice formats. And one thing I did also want to show you, for those of you out there that have cost plus contracts, you have the ability to group and add sections to your cost plus invoice format. I think I have one configured out here. Let's just check it. It's probably this one right here. So what I can do here, I can group them either so that I show, probably this detailed one, so that I show basically my labor and then my fringe, my overhead and my G&A, or like in this example where I'm actually grouping them by the element type. So I want to see fully loaded person labor, then I want to see travel loaded up with my G&A, and then I want my fee on a separate line. So however you need to present your invoice to your customer, we can accommodate you here in these invoice formats. Okay, enough said about that. The only other thing I'd like to point out with the admin setup is also invoice number format. You do have the ability to create as many custom invoice number formats as you want. So if you have one standard invoice number format for every invoice you ever generate and they're sequential, that's fine. But if you'd like, you can come out here and create separate ones for different customers. So allows you to have that flexibility. Okay, so back to the setup, you also can email the invoice. So, you know, I have a contact here, and if I say I would like to set this up to be emailed when I create the receivable, it'll automatically do that for me. I can also create custom email messages, so I can have the same message for everyone that receives an invoice from Unanet, or I can have custom messages based on the individual client, so that allows you to do that. I can request a delivery receipt, copy myself. I always like to copy myself if I want to. And then over here on the other tab, this is where you can set up kind of some non-standard custom information that's applicable to the delivery of this invoice. So maybe I need to have the contract order, the contract number, the order number, a POP, some signature block, whatever it is I need here, what kind of logo I want to show on the invoice. So you can have different logos that go out to your government sector versus your commercial sector. Whatever it is you need to do, you can do here on this other tab. And then I just wanted to focus just for a second on the different types. So we talked about there's T&M, there's fixed price, there's cost plus. I want to go into the T&M again just for 1 second to show you how the bill rate is calculated. When you assign users to Unanet, you can assign them, and I'm just going to go into this assignment. You create a workforce assignment here for your users, which allows you to say, when this user, and I'll just use Charlie user here, when Charlie user is working on this project on the brand strategy task, he is billed out at $155 an hour. When he's billed out here on the coding task, he's actually billed out at $132 an hour. You control this bill rate, and you can control it based on multiple things. You can control it based on an individual bill rate for that user from their profile. You can control it based on a set labor category work, a project labor category that are defined in this particular contract with an escalation. So if the user is a project manager and it escalates every year, this rate will go up magically just by you identifying that he's a project manager. Or you can use an override. So if for this one particular project and date range, I need to instead of using the bill rate for a senior engineer, which happens to be $155.10, I can say for this one user for this date range, I'm going to make his bill rate $200 an hour, and I can override there. And when you assign your workforce in Unanet with these T&M projects, with every project, you can notify the users, project manager, anybody you want what's going on. So they'll be able to see that update. You also can control the number of hours that they work. So that's really nice. So that's T&M and how that works. Fixed price is a little bit different. I'm going to come into this fixed price. With respect to fixed price projects in Unanet, the cost is generated from the people that are assigned to this project. But depending on your fixed price arrangement with your customer, you may either bill them on a monthly maintenance schedule, or maybe you bill them based on deliverables, fixed price deliverables. Whichever way you bill them, your revenue recognition is configurable. So in this example, there's many things that I haven't billed, but I've got this down here, this coding task that I've yet to recognize revenue or bill on, and you can see that I'm going to bill this $120,000 on April 30th of 2019. But I'm going to recognize the revenue, as you can see, over these periods right here. So I've recognized all of the revenue through August, but I've yet to recognize the revenue from September through March. So let me just take another one, for example. Even on this monthly maintenance schedule, let's say I do the October one, September, I haven't billed September yet. For this particular item, right now it's set up to bill on September 1st of 2019 for $266,666.67. And I'm going to recognize that revenue when billed. But I could say I'm going to base it on percentage of completion of the project, or for this particular item, I'm going to have a custom schedule for recognizing this $266,000, and I'm going to do it by month, week, quarter. In my case, I'm going to say I'm going to recognize it over the next 3 months on the middle day of the period, starting today. And I can generate a schedule, and these will show up for revenue recognition on that particular day. So you see on 15th of October, 15th of November, 15th of December. And I could modify these. I could bill a little more up front, a little more in the back, but that's how you configure your fixed price item. So here you can see that I'm billing it on September 1st, and I'm recognizing the revenue over 3 months. So very nice. Okay, last one is the cost plus project. Just to go into that a little bit, cost plus revenue is recognized according to GAAP when the labor is worked in the period. So that's how you're going to recognize the revenue for both T&M and for cost plus. But as far as billing, same thing. The way cost plus is billed typically is your fully loaded cost. So cost plus fringe plus overhead plus G&A plus fee. So you set up different cost structures that these particular projects are associated with. Many people just have one cost structure for their whole company that tells the system that for this project, this is the cost pool group that it belongs to, and this is how those rates are calculated from my GL. We go over cost pool calculation in another webinar, future webinar, and we also have some information on our Knowledge Center if you're more interested in that. But the things that I want to point out here also with respect to cost plus is it usually involves some sort of fee calculation. And down here, you can see that I have 2 different fees that are applied to this cost plus contract. I've got a fee on total labor, which is 8%, and I've got a different fee for ODCs, which is 3%. I could also have a fee on hours if I wanted to. I can mix and match these any way I want. I can put fee caps. So it's very configurable for anything that you need to do with respect to these cost plus contracts. The other nice thing about Unanet, and this applies to all T&M, cost plus, fixed price, combination cost plus 60, cost plus award fee, you have the ability over here to put in a total and funded value, and you also can limit the billing and the revenue to that funded value. So if you need to, basically defer revenue because you have hit some sort of funding cap, what Unanet will do is, we're going to go billing in a second, it would allow you to recognize the revenue or bill, or both, up to that certain cap. And then until you came out here and you increased the funded value, it would stop you from billing. It would just hold it, okay? So, and there's an audit trail on this stuff under the budget tab here. If people make changes to the contract value, there's a little audit trail where you can see who changed the funded value, when they changed it, what it was changed from and to. So it's a nice way to keep track. Okay, that's all there is for all the setup and everything. Clearly, once you have a bunch of projects set up in Unanet, you can, what most people do is for the billing setup, they copy from project to project, or they have template projects that they use to create these. So let's go ahead and do some billing. So I'm going to come out here to the Financials tab, and I'm going to click on Accounts Receivable. So I'm going to do some revenue recognition and billing. Oh, excuse me, I'm going to go to Invoicing and Posting. It's a lie. I'm not going to Accounts Receivable. I'm going to Invoicing and Posting. And the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to do my billing and revenue post. So what I'm doing here, and I'm just going to click over here to the billing and revenue summary report for you so you can see right now, is I'm going to go ahead and recognize revenue where appropriate and place things in unbilled for billing. So I want these things to be on my balance sheet. They're not receivables yet, but they are unbilled, and I'm going to create a receivable from them, potentially, or I'm going to defer them. So you can do it for one or multiple projects. You can do it for one or multiple billing types. But here, I'm going to pick up all the actuals through a particular day. So let's go ahead and just say we're going to bill, we're in October, but let's bill September stuff. I haven't billed it yet. So I'm going to bill everything for September. I'm picking up all labor work through September 30th, all fixed price items with either a billing or revenue recognition date through September 30th. And I go ahead and I list them here. And these are all of the different things that I have the ability to recognize revenue and subsequently bill for. So I can see that I have some that are going to hit a cap or have some special revenue terms that are going to allow me to defer. So I could drill in and see what that is if I wanted to. That's a maintenance schedule that I'm not going to be able to bill at this time. Down here, I've got, one that's fixed price that also is going to have some deferred revenue. So I can go ahead and I can select all. Or maybe these are something that someone else built. So I go ahead and I can, I'm not going to go ahead and recognize revenue or bill for those yet. So I go ahead and I do my post. Green is good. And then what does that do for me? Over here on the billing and revenue report, when I refresh this report, you're going to see everything show up in my unbilled. It's not actually an invoice, an accounts receivable invoice yet, but it is unbilled on my balance sheet. So it's on my balance sheet. I've recognized revenue where appropriate. I've deferred revenue where appropriate. And the rest is sitting in my unbilled, which is waiting for me to create an invoice. So, and if you're on a fixed price project where you recognize revenue when billed, that's also waiting to recognize revenue until you generate the invoice. So, and I can drill into here if I need to see what it is. So let's go to step 2, which is to create the invoice. So again, I'm going to go to invoicing and posting, and I'm going to add an invoice. And same thing, I'm going to pick up everything that I just did a billing and revenue post on through September 30th. I'm going to leave the invoice date as of today because that's how I want it to appear on my aging. But I'm going to go ahead and post it in September. So a lot of other systems don't give you this flexibility. Whatever invoice date you have is the period you post in. I won't name any systems on here. But and then this is how I'm going to create my draft invoices. So here you can see that this list is much smaller than the other list. Does anyone know why? Well, because remember earlier when I said I can roll up different projects onto one invoice? Here on this particular contract, I'd rolled up 4 projects for this customer into one invoice. So I've got cost plus, T&M, and 2 fixed price all going to bill out together on one single invoice. So I can always drill in and see that. I check them all, and I go ahead and I generate my invoices, and voila. There's a list of invoices for me to do with as I please. So many people need an approval chain for their invoices. So we do have separation of duties within our roles. So this is my list of invoices, and because I'm an administrator in the system, if all of these invoices were perfect, I could just click on this complete all and complete them now. I don't live in the perfect world, so I'm going to go in and show you what it's like to edit these in just a second. But I did want to speak to the separation of duties very briefly. For each person, when you create a person in here, whether they're AR, AP, whatever they are, I'm just going to go to Fran CFO here. I have a set of roles that I can give them. If I need to separate the duties, I can set someone up. This is the AR column, and these work similar for AP, AR, GL. I can have people that can see but not do anything, users who can enter and submit but not post, users who can post, and then admins who can create new customers, create new invoice formats. So that's how you separate duties, is you would have someone who is a user, they can create the invoice, but only the poster can post it to the GL or an admin. So just wanted to clarify that. Okay, so then within each one of these invoices, because I'm not living in my perfect world, I can go in and pencil and look at it. And so here I'll see the main invoice format. If I wanted to see all the invoice formats, because remember I had 3, I can just click on these eyeglasses right here, or looking glass right here, and I'll see invoice format 1, invoice format 2, invoice format 3. So I've got kind of a consolidated, a little bit less consolidated, and then a very detailed invoice. And I give those to 3 different people, or maybe they all go to the same person. They just wanted them in 3 different ways. All of these are exportable to PDF if you need to. I'm going to go back to the list. So I'm looking at my invoice, and I realize that, hey, George Washington should not be charging to my project. I don't have time to go talk to the project manager right now, so I think I'm just going to defer George's labor until the next time I invoice. So I can go in here into the time and materials labor, and I can sort this labor by person if I want to. So I go ahead and I sort by this. And when I come down here to George Washington, I can actually say, well, some of his labor I'm actually going to be able to bill for, and some of it I'm going to have to defer. So I go ahead and pick the ones that I'm going to defer, and I hit the defer selected. And what does that do for me? Well, it removes that labor from my invoice. If I come back here, whoops, sorry about that. If I come back here to the actual invoice, it would be deferred. But on my billing and revenue report, when I refresh this report, you're going to see George's labor move back over into the, oh, sorry, let me refresh my draft invoice first. All of the other projects moved over to draft invoices. I have draft invoices for all of them. But this one particular one where I deferred George's labor, his moved back over into the unbilled column, where I can always drill into it and see what that's made up of. And that's that time that I just deferred for George. Okay, so it's really a nice way to keep track without having sticky notes in a contract folder of what's going on. Next month, when I go to do my billing again, that time for George is going to pop up, and I'm going to have to make a decision. Do I bill it? Do I write it off? Do I continue to defer it because I forgot to talk to the project manager? Whatever it is you decided to do, we can accommodate it. So other things just to kind of point out in here, it works the same for cost plus labor. And since on this particular invoice I had both, you'll be able to see over here each one of the line items that could be deferred. I want to point out something, not for our government contractors that are on this call, but for our commercial contractors. Another ability that you have within the system is to modify and generate a write-off for some of this. So I'm just going to show you on a cost plus here that if I needed to modify something, over here you'll see how much of the labor is raw labor, how much is G&A, how much is fringe. If I were to say, this guy's going to get a discount, and instead of billing him out the full amount, I want to adjust those, you could do that here, or you could even say, I'm only going to bill him for 3 of the 4 hours. Now, if you're a government contractor, this is a no-no. You would want to go back and correct the original record, the original timesheet. But for those of you that are commercial, this is where you could do a write-off, and Unanet actually calculates the amount of the write-off for you right here. So when I save this, it'll automatically write it off. I'm going to cancel because I'm a government contractor. And the other thing I could do is completely write something off by clicking here and just clicking write-off selected, and that would write it off as well. And one more thing about the invoice format, while you're here and you're invoicing, you can actually change things about the actual invoice itself. So if I wanted to say, let me go change the number. Instead of 872, I need it to be 872A. You could change that here. You could add something to the other tab, like the period of performance is that Amy said, or whatever the case was, delayed invoicing, since it says 17 there. And then you go ahead and you save. And now that's going to actually update the invoice itself. And you'll be able to see any notes that you're displaying here on the invoice. Delayed invoicing. And you'll see up here that it is now 972A. Okay, so that's why I wanted to show you that. So now, if everything is okay with all of these invoices, I would go ahead and I would complete them all. So I'm just going to click this top button here and say, are you sure you want to complete all your draft invoices? Absolutely, I do. So I go ahead and I complete them. Voila. I come over to the billing and revenue summary report, and when I refresh this, voila, everything is now moved to build. All of the revenue has been recognized. And there's George's labor where, oh, next month I can come out here and I can see that that unbilled labor is still sitting there. And what am I going to do with it? I can drill in and see that it's George. So it's just a really nice way for you to be able to track and see what's going on. A couple other things I want to show you. Another report that our accounts receivable team loves is, of course, the accounts receivable aging. So let's go ahead and run that. This report can be run either to show you a detailed view by customer balance or by project balance. So I'm going to go ahead and run it in its native form here, the detailed view, where I can see for every project, every invoice, and I can see the aging right down here. I can even drill into this aging right here and see a copy of the invoice. So right from the aging, you can look at this information. If there were partial payments, you could drill in here and you could see where a partial payment has been applied. If I wanted to see this in a more consolidated form, like maybe customer balances only, I need to use it for my borrowing base, I could run this view of it. All of these are exportable to PDF, CSV, and Excel. So you can export all of these reports anywhere you like. Another report that people are using as a statement right now is this accounts receivable activity report, where I can run this either for all customers or maybe just a certain customer. And I can see for customer one, all activity for a particular time period. Maybe it's the previous quarter, the current quarter, whatever. I want to see all the invoices and all the payments, everything that happened. So I can see here the invoices and payments for that particular customer. Again, I could drill in if I wanted to, all exportable to PDF and Excel. And then one of my all-time favorite reports is the project control panel. This is really a project-related report. However, this allows your accounts receivable staff to kind of pass down some responsibility to the project managers. It's all role-based, so they don't have to. But what you're looking at here, I love this, what you're looking at here is by customer, by project, I can see the billing type, what the date range is of the project, any revenue that was recognized in the current period, as well as the billing, year to date. I can see over here the inception to date on this particular project. I can see this compared to the budget, compared to the funded value, how much is left. And then this is one of my favorite parts. You can pass this responsibility of a collection down to your project managers. I can see the aging on every project right from here, and I can drill into it and I can actually look up what the aging is for that particular project. So what does this allow you to do? Your project manager doesn't have to call the accounting department to get a copy of an invoice. He can see if it's been paid right here. He can drill in, there's that invoice I created with 972A. He can drill in right from here and print a copy or save a copy off the PDF and give this to the customer himself when they need a copy. So really, really useful report for you. It keeps the main report open here. So some other things you can do right from this report, you'll see a little sandwich over here on the left-hand side. From this sandwich, I can drill in and I can say, show me that billing and revenue summary report. So right from here, I can get to other related reports. So there's that billing and revenue just for this one project. So just a really nice way for you to be able to get to additional information, and from here continue to drill in and see what made up that number. You also can see things like the project transactions report. You can, oh, sorry, let me click on a little bit. Project transactions report with detailed transactions, invoice status reports, what's the status of all the invoices, cost summary and status. All those reports are easily able to be obtained right here from one single project control panel. So that is one of my all-time favorite reports. So the other thing I just want to show you when we're talking about billing and revenue recognition very briefly is accounts receivable, collection of cash. So you can receive customer payments independently of deposits, or you can do everything together, very much like many other systems. The way I receive a customer payment is simply by clicking on Add Customer Payment. I put in my bank account here, that's my operating account, what customer I'm going to select, and we have predictive text. You just start typing and things populate here. I can put in my payment amount. I don't know what it is yet, so I'm just going to put in $1. I can decide whether this is a manual check or an ACH. I'm going to leave it as an ACH and what document date I received it. I go ahead and I save it, and this will show me all the open invoices for this particular customer. I can select them all, or I can select just one that I'm going to pay, and this one is for $23,816.76. So I go ahead and save it, but you know I've only received the payment of $1, so I'm going to get a little warning here that says, hey, that doesn't match. That's right. Let me go out to my summary tab and let me put in the right amount. And now when I save it, it should match. My balance is 0. If I go back to that paid document, it all looks great, wonderful. This allows you to also account for discounts and write-offs if you had them here at the time of customer payment. And then I just post the next, and that'll remove that from my aging. So that concludes the demonstration of billing and revenue recognition. I'm going to go to the question box to see if there's anything out there that that we need to look at. Okay, so can you show the comments day by day? Absolutely, you can. The comments, just move this over a little bit. When I was showing you the invoice setup over here, sorry, my little box is in my way. Stand by. When I was showing you the invoice format here, under the T&M labor, right here, if I want to show the timesheet comments day by day, I just click this, and I can hit this refresh preview button right here, and you'll see that it shows you day by day the comment right here of the timesheet. Okay, so we can see that. So are there any efficiencies that are gained when the prime and the sub both use Unanet? So yes, many people use Unanet for their subcontractor management. So they will have their subcontractors set up in Unanet to record time for billing. And that time can be converted. I'm just going to come over here and show you that just like when we convert, hold on, my little box is in my way again. Just like when we create vendor invoices from expense reports, I don't know if any of you know that, you can create vendor invoices from matched labor. So you can create purchase orders for your vendors. You can match the labor that those vendors are putting into your Unanet system. Those people will be putting time into Unanet, and then you can create a vendor invoice and pay them right from here, and it'll also show up for billing. We also, of course, allow you to just put in an accounts payable with hours and for your vendor invoice, and that'll also show up for billing. Okay. Let me see if there's any others here. Can you back over the difference between unbilled and deferred? Okay, so in the billing and revenue system, the way I like to think of unbilled versus deferred for me is that unbilled is something that was available to be on an invoice, and I chose not to bill it. So it was recognized revenue, but not billed. Whereas the deferred is the opposite of that. It's something that I was able to bill for, but I've yet to be able to recognize the revenue for it. So things that show up there are sometimes rate variances, sometimes on fixed price items, we'll see some deferred revenue, and a lot of times on pre-bills. We have the ability in Unanet to pre-bill for labor and then work it off, and that's something that would show up there. Can you show the cumulative hours and dollars? Absolutely you can. Back in that setup screen that we were looking at here, you absolutely positively can show the inception to date. Let's go back to that summary tab. And if I check, if I check show inception to date right here, I hit the refresh preview, and what you're gonna see is now there's an inception to date column where you can actually see inception to date right over, oops, sorry. I don't know what happened there. Refresh preview. Oh, sorry, I have the timesheet comments showing, and it's actually doing what I would expect it to do. It doesn't want me to show the comments with this inception to date. There we go. There's your inception to date column. Sorry, there's a lot of questions here. All right, comments by day. Are the fee options preset dropdowns? No, the fee options are not preset dropdowns. You control what types of fees you enter. So if you want to have fee on hour, fee on labor, fee on ODC, any custom fee that you need, those are configurable by you. Does any of this data help fill out the incurred cost submission? Yes, all of this data helps fill out the incurred cost submission. We do have many knowledge center topics on this, but I believe here on the financials dashboard, I've got some saved reports here that help you to fill out the incurred costs. So you'll see Schedule K here, and this GL details and the Schedule H are 3 reports that basically can drop into a refreshable web query and complete a good percentage of your incurred cost submission. I don't know any software that'll complete all of it because there's usually some additional details that are required, but it will do a good portion for you. And I did want to point out here, we do have a knowledge center, kc.unanet.com, where if you have further questions about that, you can come in here and you can type ICE or incurred cost submission, and this will actually talk to you all about how Unanet, and this is available to you whether you're a customer or not right now. You can come out here, you can read about it, you can see exactly how we do it. You can even download the refreshable web query. So all that's available to you right now, whether you're a customer or not, kc.unanet.com or knowledgecenter.unanet.com. Okay, we got that one, sorry. Can I put small business in red caps when submitting my invoice? So there are custom memos and descriptions on the invoice format. I will take that as a note to see if they can be color coded. I have yet to hear that one, but you can put custom messages into both the memo and the description field. Can you explain how the WBS codes are set up? So that's more of a project management question. I'll just read through the other questions and then I will answer that one. Let's see. What is the difference in the colors? What do the colors mean next to the projects? So in Unanet, you do have colors. This is a use that has really not been officially defined in Unanet. So I'll just tell you some things that people use it for. A lot of people, and each project can be set as red, yellow, or green. And these show up in your project control panel as well as your project metrics report. So you can run reports by color. A lot of people use them to indicate this project is at risk or that this project is low on funding, that kind of thing. These colors can also, if you would like to, be automated so that the system can go out there using either our cloud data warehouse or even a normal just export and re-import that looks at data each night and comes back in and changes the color for you. So, excuse me, it's usually used in conjunction with our project management, but I have seen, like in the case of Unanet, us use it for projects that might be at risk or have some sort of funding issue. Do you have any Excel add-ons that can mirror the system's databases? I don't really understand that question. We do export many of our reports right now export to CSV and Excel. There is an Excel add-on if you're using something called refreshable web queries. We have it's called Unanet to Excel, UT. It's also downloadable in our Knowledge Center. You can definitely, we can look back and have someone get you some more information and kind of get a little clarification on that question. I think, let's see if I missed any. I think that's all the ones that I'm able to answer at this time. So if there's no further questions, I'll give everybody back a little bit of time in their day. I'd like to thank you for attending the webinar, and I'm sure it'll be available to you to download. I'm sure Jeff will take care of emailing that to you. So thank you very much. My name's Amy Allen, and I'll follow up on any questions we were unable to answer here on the call via email. Thanks, everyone.